Congressman DioGuardi, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to KTV.
Well, thank you for coming all the way from Kosova. You know, I haven't been there now in 10 years, and I'm trying to figure out how do I go back without offending the politicians.
You're welcome anytime, obviously.
The people would love me to come back, and I would love to see them. So we have to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, so it's been now 10 years. This year we're celebrating the 10th anniversary of independence. You say you haven't been there, but I know that you read everything what happens there, and you see. What do you think? How much has Kosovo developed in these years?
Well, it depends on how you describe it. If you talk about politics, the only word I could say is catch. You know what catch means, right? Yeah. I don't see the development of the democracy that I thought was going to come to Kosovo after all the work that I did in Congress and many Albanians on the board of the Albanian American Civic League, Liga Qytetare Shqiptare Americana. We all felt that, you know, with independence, we would get some kind of democracy that wouldn't be exactly like America, but would be good enough so that the people would speak, not the parties, not the politicians, and that the people would be proud that they had a country that was providing jobs for them and their children. Look at what's happened in 10 years, and I've witnessed this with almost tears, that here the politicians were not able to convince Europe to allow Albanians visas to go west for jobs. They can only go to Turkey. Who wants to go to Turkey when Erdogan is acting now like the Ottoman Empire? The guy that went into the office of Salih Barish and said, "Where did you get that picture of this George Castriati? He's a traitor. Take it down." And what did he do? He took it down. Is this the Albanian people we elected to be our politicians in Albania or Kosovo or any place else? And now we got the problem with Ali Ahmedi in Macedonia. What is he doing? 15 years. We worked with Arben Jaferi, one of the smartest Albanian politicians you could find. We brought him over here. We even let him speak at one of the hearings, like we did Archbishop Sopi, who made a big presence over here to show that Albanians, Kosovo was not just Islamic. There's no problem with being a Muslim. But the Serbs came here with bishops every day. We're Christian, we're Christian, we're Christian. I said, hey, Henry Hyde, the congressman, said, Joe, do you have any Christians in Kosovo? I said, yes, about 200,000. Bring the bishop here. I said, well, he may not speak English. It's all right. We'll get it. I had Fatah Bizlimi be the translator for him. So we had to be clever to do what we did. But did we waste our time? All this good work we did, is it wasted now that the parties are now controlling the people to the point where the people are getting depressed? They're worried about getting jobs for themselves. Worse than that, their kids. And I'm hearing that buses are leaving Kosovo because they can't understand how they could stay there and raise families. Thank God we've had some Albanians that on our board, a young man, you probably know him from Jalan, Fatah Bizlimi. We helped him here in his education in Harvard. And I said, if you're going to do this, we're going to help you, but you got to go back. And you know what? He left his family in Edmonton with his wife's family, and he goes back to Jalan. And it's not easy. It's not a big job there for him. Not yet. I hope it changes. But we're working to see how many young Albanians could be educated here in America, and we could then say to them, if you want to move back, we'll try to raise some money for you so that you can live, at least you won't starve, but we can't make you feel like you're one of the big politicians there. Because Albania now, excuse me, Albania too, but Kosovo has this problem like Russia, oligarchs. People who are in power are getting richer and richer, and the people who they say are supporting them, their constituencies, are getting poorer. Worse than that, they don't see a future for their family there unless they become puppets for the party. And what does the party want? Just bring all the votes for your family, and maybe we'll give you 2 government jobs. What is this? Only the mafia does that in this country, in my country, in America. And they're now going. So Albanians, people in Kosovo, have to wake up. They're not being represented by people who understand real democracy, how to represent the people, not themselves and the party. This nonsense about, give me a list, and we're going to run on my list for my party. No. Do like America. Let each individual say, I want to be your representative, and I live near you. So vote for me, and then let the parties get together after people are elected. Didn't we show the Balkans? Didn't we show Albania and Kosova how democracy works here in America? I never forget when I went to Albania and we helped to get Sali Berisha elected. I had to go twice because 1991, communists controlled everything, and I was the head of that delegation, and I declared it, and I went back to Congress. This is not a good election, no good. We did it again. But I didn't know that Sali Berisha was kind of handpicked by the communists to be there. And I told him, and I look at my YouTube, you'll see me have interviews with him, 1993, 94. I'm trying to convince him now, take the same government as the United States. He didn't do it. The first thing he wanted to do was control the judges, judiciary. What kind of a government's that? And only now did we pass that in Albania, where now there's judicial reform. Yeah. And I was one of the ones to really come down hard on the people who were telling me, you know, you got people that come to the prayer breakfast here. Can you imagine Albanians from Albania who were responsible for Gurdets putting the munitions in front, really where the people live in Tirana, selling old Chinese weapons, bullets to American soldiers, and these are the guys, I don't mention their names, that are now coming to Washington to the prayer breakfast. They just want to get pictures with politicians. They want to fool the people in Albania. They want to fool the people in Kosova. Oh, look, they know me in Washington. Yeah, but what are you doing for yourself? When are you going to represent the people? That's what it's about. So I could keep talking, but you know what? This is you have questions.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I have questions. So you've known you say what the politicians in Kosovo are doing right now, and you've known them personally for years.
Not only personally, one of them was in The Hague twice, and we had to raise the money to get him out. Why? Because we loved them? No, we didn't want to see Kosovo called a terrorist state, so we had to go to The Hague, my wife and I, to get Mr. Haradinaj out, because God forbid he was convicted. Then they say, oh, look, this place is a place for terrorists. He got convicted in The Hague. So we prevented that twice. And now?
Now he's the prime minister.
Well, what is he doing? He's the prime minister. That's what he wanted. And I'm waiting to see what kind of reforms are going to come in. Or is he just going to follow what Mr. Taci wants or what some other people want? No. We need bold people with new ideas that are willing to go to the people on the street and ask them for their support and their votes by saying, I'm going to say what I'm going to do for you, and I'm going to do it. And if I don't do it in 2 years, then you have to get rid of me. I will leave myself. Term limits, they call it here. If you don't do the job, then go. Because the people can't wait any longer. We got 10 years since independence, and Albanians, young Albanians, are leaving Kosova. You know what the word is in Albanian? Turp. You know that word? It means shame. Yeah. I remember even our brush that word is today.
There is going to be a new phase of dialogue between Kosovo and Serbia. President Taci is going to lead it, and Kosovo and EU, US as well expects an agreement which will be legal binding between Kosovo and Serbia, which in Pristina we hope is going to guarantee us a UN seat. How do you think the dialogue should end?
How could you trust Serbia that still has not recognized Kosovo's independence? How could Serbia even think of becoming part of the European Union when it's not a good neighbor? That was one of the first things they said. If Serbia wants to be part and have entry into the European Union, they have to show that they are good neighbors to Kosovo. And there has to be a kind of a way to deal with each other in a peaceful way, in a productive way. Do you see this? I don't see it. So now you're going to go into discussions. I would say if I were the politician leading Kosovo, I would say, no talk. The first thing you got to do is recognize Kosovo. Many people died in Kosovo, 12,000. We prevented a lot more from dying. What happened in Srebrenica and in Bosnia would have happened except for what we did here, Albanian Americans, to stop it. And we stopped it, and yet we don't have the right result. And we stopped it in Kosovo. We don't want to see 12,000. We don't want to see one person dead, but 12,000, and we still can't find the bodies. Remember what happened. You think Clinton is a hero? We told him, don't let the Serbs take the Albanian prisoners back to Belgrade. Did he do it? No. In fact, they even killed some of them there, and they put them on trucks, refrigerated trucks, to bring them and bury them to hide the crime on the police stations. Don't we see this? This is barbaric. It's almost like, you know, Nazi Germany again. And now the Albanians in Kosovo are going to trust the Serbs? How can they trust the Serbs to talk when the talks go nowhere?
But it is EU mediated, and the dialogue should lead Kosovo
Okay,
hopes to recognition by Serbia.
Let me give you an example. Ohrid Agreement, EU mediated, guaranteed also by the United States, right? Where is it today? In the garbage, right? Because all of a sudden, the political calculations are meaning more, and the Albanian representatives, beginning with Ali Ahmedi, 15 years now, he had the Ohrid Agreement in his hands. It's dead, from what I can see. And now they want to name the Macedonian state to please everybody but the Albanians, Iridenka Macedonia, like Albanians don't exist. Is this right? So we can't trust the Slavs. You can't trust the Russians. Russia is still looking for a foothold in the Balkans, and believe it or not, they have big crimes with Mr. Gruevski. Now, we know he's not there now. You got Zaev, but believe it or not, Gruevski is not in jail. He should have been put in jail a long time ago. Many Albanians were set up. They were killed just for political purposes, and it's wrong. So if you can't see what's happening with the majority Slavs, or at least the Slavic population that's in control of Macedonia, how could you trust the Serbs? They were the worst part of the Slavic world. How do you trust them? They killed people. Remember the summer offensive? What Milosevic instructed the soldiers to do, and the criminals they put the paramilitary uniforms on? Go. These Albanians, they saved their money with gold. Just kill them in their houses, take the gold, that is your gift. Then you had the bishop coming to give Archon medals because they were killing people in Kosovo. Did the people of Kosovo forget this? I didn't forget it. I had to live it from 1986, 7, all the way up to when I didn't go back to Kosovo anymore, when they turned the flag away and I realized then they don't need me anymore.
In Kosovo again, how do you think, you said that people should wake up, so do you think that it is a time to change this politician? They are in power like for 20 years now, like President Thaci.
Absolutely.
Should the new generation of politicians come to light?
What did Martin Luther King do? What did he do? Peaceful demonstrations. Why aren't the people in Kosovo on the streets? Why aren't they saying, miaft, enough? You've had 10 years since independence, and we have nothing. We have our kids leaving, trying to look for jobs. They have to go illegally into countries. Miaft. Maybe you need to start a new miaft movement in Kosovo, because if people don't speak up together, the politicians will pick you off one by one. They'll pay here, they'll shoot here. No. Everybody's got to say, we are fed up. This is not the Albanian culture. This is not the Albanian history. And all the work that was done by good Albanian Americans for all these years to free us, to put Kosovo on the map, now is being wasted. And you want to go talk more to the Serbs who still don't want to recognize Kosovo's independence? To me, it's nonsense.
Now, everyone in Kosovo knows that you were the first one in the 80s to help the Kosovo issue, to give the voice for the Kosovo issue. It's been many years now. Do you think that your contribution is being recognized in Kosovo?
Not at all. No, because you don't have free press in Kosovo. Maybe your channel is about one of the best, but you have papers and TV stations owned by rich people, by political parties, and everything's got to be filtered through them, and therefore you never see. For 10 years I disappeared. You think I stopped working? You think that I went to bed, I retired? You saw me here. I'm going to be 78 this year, and did you see me retired? No, but everybody's trying to tell the people in Kosovo, oh, his day is over, he did his job, let him alone. No, my job's not finished. The job for the Albanian nation is not finished. Komtar. And that's the big problem we got. How do we get 7 million Albanians in the Balkans thinking like a nation? They have the same history, same language. They're on their ancestral lands, which the Serbs and everybody wants to take away piece by piece. Same culture, and I'm trying to wake them up. You saw Italians in here today? I have to remind them how important the Albanians were in Italy for 500 years. They fought with Garibaldi to make Italy a state, 1861, and one of the first prime ministers was Francesco Crespi, 2 Albanian parents. Italians, if they knew it, they forgot it. Albanians probably don't even know it. So we have to get more good people like you to travel around the world and bring this message back that we need to get good, free press in Kosova. Let the people speak. Don't try to control the message, because then you become a communistic state again.
And last, how do you see the Kosovo-US relations, like state to state now with the new administration, with the Trump administration? You're a Republican yourself. There's a feeling that the support for Kosovo has always been bipartisan in US.
It has, but we need to replace the great congressmen that I worked with. They have died, or they're dying, or they're getting old. Congressman Hyde, and this is Democrat and Republican. Congressman Hyde, chairman of the committee, 6 years, Republican. Congressman Gilman, the first one, I brought him with me to Macedonia and to Albania. He is now dead, okay, 90-something. John McCain, one of our best friends, he may not survive another month the way he's, I'm not close enough to him now, but we're very close, and he did a lot of good things for us. Tom Lantos, who did more than this great Jewish American congressman, came with me to Ramiz Aliyah, came with me and told Milosevic practically to his face that we're watching everything you're doing here at the Grand Hotel. And I remember when they opened up the door on the second floor of the Grand Hotel, and I saw thousands and thousands of people, and someone told me, the best thing you could say in Albanian is what Fanoli said. And I said, Moj nan moski frike se ke gjemte në Amerikë. I tried to give them hope. Hope. Albanian people are losing their hope because they don't see any solutions coming. They got to get that hope back. Without hope, you don't fight anymore. You become a victim, and you don't know what to do. So all I'm saying is those great congressmen, Chairman Pell, Joe Biden. Joe Biden becomes vice president now. Lord knows what he's going to do, but he was with us all the way. And people might say, well, why didn't he do something? Well, when you become the vice president, you got to listen to the president of the party. You're no longer chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee when I was testifying with him in 1991 and 1998. So you don't have your own voice that much, but I know he respects the Albanian people. Albanian people have a lot of respect in America. There is great feelings all around America that the most pro-American people in Europe are the Albanian people. And we don't want to lose that. It took a lot of effort to get that image, that brand, all right? But now, these politicians, they're not being received the way you think. They're paying big lobby firms. Look at what Daci's paying, hundreds of thousands a month so he can get a picture with here, picture here, and I think maybe other politicians are doing the same thing. Why? To fool the people? They don't have the respect they're saying. They certainly don't have the respect that I saw in the past for Kosova. And I think that has to change. It's not going to be easy, but it's got to change. And I think the people have to say once and for all, we don't need this kind of political movement. It's not speaking for us anymore. They fight even in the parliament. It's like, some African state. They're throwing tear gas. They're punching each other. What is this about? Personalities? So politics in Kosova has boiled down to 2 things from what I can see. Personalities and money. How is that going to help the people? Well, listen, I don't want to give you only bad news. The good news is you have in America almost 1 million Albanian Americans from all over, many from Kosova right here. And they are not happy either. And they call me and my wife Shirley a lot. We still have to get hearings. Very difficult these days to get hearings. There's no war in the Balkans that you can see. There's plenty of things going around under the table, but no war. So to get a hearing today, you have to be very clever. You have to be very, how would you say, bold. And we just got one 3 weeks ago. It was about Bosnia. And I told Congressman Rohrbach, I said, if you're going to do Bosnia on the Dayton Accords, you've got to talk about Kosova and Macedonia. Don't forget what Milosevic did in 1995. He told Holbrooke, don't you bring one Albanian, not even Rugova, to Dayton, otherwise I'm not coming. So he became the peacemaker for the whole thing, and he was the worst. That's why he went to The Hague, and that's why he didn't take his heart medicine, because he knew he would be convicted. So he committed suicide. And I don't know whether you've seen it on YouTube. I'm the only name he mentions when he's there in front of the judge. He's practically begging the judge, I'm here because this guy, DioGuardi, satanized me. What do you mean satanized you? You were killing people left and right. Somebody had to expose you. And he was exposed. And he didn't want to take the verdict, so he just, died in his cell for not taking his heart medicine. Now, I don't want to see people leave that way, but in his case, maybe it was for the best. But now you've got the same kind of people still in charge. Vucic, Dacic, the same kind of people that were trained by Milosevic are there, and they're now coming in with new Italian suits on and saying, hey, let's talk, we're going to try to do something, when their whole goal is to just colonize Kosova. What do you think the whole thing has been since 1937? Read the memo by Tribilovic, Vaso Tribilovic, presented in Belgrade. The title, Expulsion of the Albanians. They had it in writing. I had to wave this around at all the hearings. Don't you think they still believe that? Don't you think that the Serbian Orthodox Church, and I have nothing against churches, I believe the tolerance of the Albanian people is phenomenal, but this Orthodox Church is tied with the government all the time. And they can't wait to come back and grab one of those buildings and make it into a church again and do something that will then tell the world, oh, look, this is our Jerusalem. This is where it was born. Born where? 1389, field of blackberries, Fush Kosova, where it was the Albanians fighting with them against the Turks. And they say it was an Albanian that killed the Turkish leader, Sultan, yeah. And they took credit for it. Do Albanians know this, or am I the only one that knows this? I mean, it's amazing when I think about it, how with all these facts, we have to put up with what's going on today. Bottom line is, do not trust the Serbs. They have not earned the trust of the Albanian people. I wish that they would. I want to see peace in the Balkans. I'm not saying you have to evict the Serbs, but if you want to have fair discussions, the first thing that any Albanian politician representing the people and maybe the nation behind the scenes is to say, you first recognize our independence. 116 countries, I believe now, out of 192 have done it. And in the European Union, it's at least 22 of 28, whatever it is.
23.
23. Hey, Serbia, what's wrong with you? And they're telling you, you want to become part of the European Union? You need to show you're a good neighbor to the Albanian people. You used them for years in Yugoslavia. You made them the waiters and the busboys. You made them the Untermenschen of Yugoslavia. And now they have their own nation. It's been declared by so many states. Recognize them. Come to the table as equals. Make peace in the Balkans once and for all.
I thank you very much, Congressman, for this interview. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.